God. Okay. Bloody hay fever, honestly. So, hi, Aerynne here for Open Barbers, and I'm currently in lockdown in North Norfolk. I got out of London on the Underground Railroad just the day before lockdown, which is super nice. So the lovely people at Open Barbers have asked me to do some video tutorials for you. What I am going to be showing you today is how to colour somebody's roots. So I'm going to be using my lovely friend Sarah as a model. With this video we are going to use professional colours. The professional colours that we're going to use are made by Weller and they are called Colour Touch Plus. You used to only be able to get this stuff in salons, but now what you can do is you can actually get it online all over the place. If you're not averse to using Amazon, it's a really easy place to get them from. Most of it's from resellers anyway, who are kind of cottage industries in somebody's sort of garage somewhere, so I kind of think that's right. So there are any number of colour charts available online as to how the colours work, but basically you have one, which is super black, so blue black, two, which is kind of natural black, sort of really dark brown, and then you've got right up to the high lift blonde colours. So what we're using here is on the level 6, which is kind of sort of standard white person, kind of mid brown, and also it's got some other tones mixed into it, so it's a mix of 6604 and 6603, which is going to give it some more reddy goldy tones. When you're mixing the colour up, what you need to do is use twice as much developer as you do of the actual colour itself. So the actual dye stuff comes in a tube, and then you've got a developer that comes with it. The Colour Touch that we're using is actually Colour Touch Plus, and it is a semi-permanent. That doesn't mean that it'll wash out. It means it will fade, so it's not as permanent as a full permanent colour, but it will fade out. So on Sarah's hair, Sarah has got quite a lot of grey around the front. So I'm going to take a centre parting like this. It's going to go all the way down. And what I'm going to want to do is make sure that I go around the edges and cover all of that grey. And also this is what you'd want to make sure you do if you're colouring your hair darker than your natural colour. So say if you're a natural blonde and you're colouring it black, which will be quite dramatic. So the first thing I'm doing is really I'm just using the colour at this point, the tint at this point, to stick the head out so that I can actually kind of work with it. But my slightly off centre parting there is going to be an area that's going to be visible, because you're always going to have a parting like this, so you can see my scalp through mine, and any regrowth is going to show up very quickly. So what we're doing is we are going all around the edges and also all down the centre parting, doing that first. First of all, if you've got a limited amount of actual product, if you've got a limited amount of dye that you're using, then you're going to want to make sure that you cover those bits up that are really going to be visible. And secondly, to leave it on to develop a bit longer. So one of the things about using a professional dye is that the stuff that you buy in the chemist is time limited. With the professional dye, it continues to work, so you need to make sure that your timings are accurate. And what I've done on Sarah's head is I've just worked back from the top and I'm going forward. If you go from the back, then the way that the actual colour works is it works chemically by heat. So as more heat comes out the top of your head, so you want it longer on the back bit. And the easiest way to make sure that it's on that back part for longer is to colour that part first. So I'm taking a section out, I'm using the end of my brush as if it were a comb, just to go through each of those segments. Take a segment out, cover the roots and a little bit of overlap, and just making sure that I'm going through covering all the head. Sarah's got a lot of hair. It's quite wiry, it's quite curly, and it's super thick, so I've got to really get the brush in there and also make sure that I really get lots of tint on it, because otherwise it won't work. So it doesn't have to be super neat, but it does need to make sure it covers everything. Sarah's had her hair coloured loads of times, so I haven't done a patch test or anything like that. If you've never coloured your hair before, you should always do a patch test, and what that means is you can find instructions on the internet how to do that. But basically you mix up a tiny bit of the tint and you put it somewhere out of the way. What I'd probably do is put it on my elbow, put a bit in there, and then kind of mush that in, and then hopefully it will dry and not go on anything. But what you'll be able to see there is if your skin reacts, because also the skin there is quite sensitive, so it's going to be a little bit more easily scarable. So I'm just going to go back around the edges here, go back around all the sides, and make sure that I've got lots of hair dye in all of those sections. Working my way through again, just double checking everything. So what we've done is we've applied all the colour, and what we're going to do is leave that to develop. If you've had your hair done professionally at a salon before, then they would have left it on for a certain amount of time, normally kind of between 20 and 40 minutes. With Sarah's, we leave it on for 25 minutes. And then what we do is wet it and mush everything, shampoo it through right through to the ends, leave it for 5 minutes, and then rinse it all off. If you were doing that in a salon, they do that over in a basin, but because we're doing it at home, Sarah just does it in the shower. So that's it. Colouring your own hair, not too scary as long as you're careful, maybe don't mind getting a bit of a mess. It's easier if you've got somebody else to do it for you, but basically you will be able to feel it. So you can go back down all of these sections at the back. If I just take out a section there, which hopefully you can see, because I've now turned away from the camera, I can't see anything. So you can see there we've gone all around the edges. So my scalp is slightly red still, which it will be with the colour that I've used. But as long as really you've covered the visible bits, so hopefully it'll make you feel a bit better during lockdown, and when it's all over, we'll be able to get an appointment and we'll be able to sort of catch you up, and it will all be fine. It will all be fine. Okay, thanks for watching, and if you're wondering if I'm going to be doing any more, you can see I've been doing this the whole way through. Yes, I have been growing out my fringe, and no, now I cannot see anything. So that's going to be the next tutorial. Okay, bye.